tonight.
Damien told an adult female acquaintance that he and Miles, quote, have a mission to do.
RCMP reveal a timeline of what happened in and around James Smith Cree Nation during Canada's worst stabbing massacre. Also, you will not be paying more for energy this July. We'll tell you why. Plus, we check out the viewing den of a Winnipeg Jets fan who will watch his team fight to stay alive tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
No fun watching games alone, that's for sure. The more people you get in the basement, the more fun it is.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, April 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News Digital Edition starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for watching. It's been a difficult day for family and friends of those connected to last year's stabbing massacre on the James Smith Cree Nation. Miles Sanderson killed 11 people and injured 17 others on September 4th. RCMP have now unveiled a timeline of what they believe happened. Sam Sampson has more and a warning. This story contains distressing details.
This is my sage.
To get through this week, Brian Burns, known as Buggy, needed help from Creator and from the grave.
Before I left, I went and visited them at the church, Bonnie and Gregory.
What did you tell them?
Just asked them to watch over me, and I wish I was home, protect you guys.
Buggy's son, Gregory, and wife, Bonnie, were among 11 killed in Canada's worst stabbing massacre. Now he and the world knows more about how they died.
Part of this presentation may be difficult for some to hear and see.
RCMP say days before the stabbings, Miles Sanderson and his brother Damien Sanderson sold cocaine in James Smith Cree Nation. At the time, both brothers were wanted men. Less than 24 hours before the stabbings, RCMP came across Damien when someone called 911 saying he'd stolen a vehicle, but they didn't recognize him from an older photo, so they didn't arrest him. Hours before his murder, Damien went to a bar in another town.
While at the bar, Damien told an adult female acquaintance that he and Miles, quote, have a mission to do, and that, quote, people would hear all about it in the next few hours.
Damien was initially a suspect in the killings, but RCMP say he actually stopped the first attack. The brothers got into a fight after that. Damien ran off into the bush, where he died. He became the first victim of a fatal attack. Miles continued his violent rampage. He made his way to different homes by walking and stealing cars, killing and brutally assaulting as he went. He left the reserve and went to 2 other towns, killing a man in the process. Then he vanished. Lives lost and ruined in just under 3 hours. Nearly 4 days later, RCMP arrested Miles on the side of a Saskatchewan highway. Police say he shortly after went into medical distress and died.
There was a lot of questions asked that probably wouldn't be answered.
Daryl Burns lost his sister in the stabbings. The addictions worker hopes RCMP can address what he says are the root causes of this violence.
This tragedy is taking people's focus away from the real issue, which is the addictions, which is the oppression, the suppression that our people have faced for so many years. You know, we have to get back to that ability to love ourselves and to love our children and our grandchildren and the people around us.
Hoping to finally have a good night's rest.
Buggy Burns says knowing more is a bit comforting, but it doesn't help with the present. He's looking after his 3 other sons now, one of whom was stabbed. He's left with guilt and an empty bed.
So used to hugging someone at night, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's hard to toss and turn all night, knowing that your partner's not there anymore.
Leaders from James Smith sent out statements today. They say that the transparency from the RCMP is great, but they still need help addressing the drug trade pervading the community. The First Nation wants its own police force so that protection comes from within. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Melfort.
As you heard in Sam's story, people in the community say today's timeline does bring some answers, but there are still many questions about what could have been done to prevent such a tragedy and if Sanderson planned the attack. There's also trepidation about the information that may be revealed in the upcoming coroner's inquest.
Especially with the Corrections Canada and the parole board, like they should have knew. Like they was plotting this when from the first time when he attacked Earl and Joyce. Right. And he was already plotting this already inside, I heard, inside the pen. He was planning this all out.
You know, there's going to be so much information there that coming out of that, and the whys and hows and all that stuff. I guess I'm a little bit afraid of that day. The stuff that's going to come out. And the one thing, I don't know if I'm going to learn about it, but one thing I'm afraid of is if that information comes out and it's not handled in a good way and we're not prepared for that day, it could divide our community even more. You know, so we have to prepare our people in our community for whatever happens at that inquest, because it's not going to be good. We know it's not going to be good, and there's going to be a lot of negative emotions come out of that.
The Saskatchewan Coroner Service says 2 inquests related to the rampage are tentatively scheduled to start in early January 2024. A man who waited for more than a year for a decision on benefits to heat his home is among more than 3,600 complaints that Saskatchewan's Ombudsman received last year. Those numbers were revealed in her 2022 annual report released today. Ombudsman Sharon Pratchler says social services approved the man's benefits once her office called.
Got disconnected when I called your service center. Those are relational issues, and so at the end of the day, it's how was he made to feel? Well, he was frustrated because why did I have to go to the Ombudsman? People like to have autonomy in dealing with their issues, so why did I have to in the end? And why did it get resolved? Probably an ancillary question, which wasn't necessarily asked of us, but why was there such a quick resolution when the Ombudsman involved?
The Ombudsman says 95% of complaints filed last year were resolved within 90 days. Social services, corrections, and municipal matters made up the top 3 areas of concern. An application to increase SaskEnergy rates has been called off. The proposed 5% increase in July of this year and next were part of a combined proposal from SaskEnergy. SaskEnergy's minister has now told the rate review panel to cancel those applications for this year and next. It follows an 8% increase last August and a commodity rate rise by 31%. But Don Morgan warns increases could still be on the table for Sask Power.
We'll watch things as they come. There's a process they have to go through the rate review panel. This is one we didn't think was necessary at this time, so we directed that it not proceed. We'll look at other applications and other needs as we come forward. We know that we have to maintain the viability of all of the crowns. These are businesses that are owned by all of the citizens of the province. We have to make sure that they're well capitalized, that they're able to maintain the services, do the expansion that they need. So those are all things that we have to consider.
The provincial government says Saskatchewan has the lowest natural gas commodity costs in Canada, and it expects the total utility costs for this year to be second lowest among all provinces. The City of Regina will submit a joint bid to co-host the 2025 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championships. Councillors voted unanimously in favor of supporting a bid toward hosting the championship with a contribution of $400,000. Their co-hosts in Saskatoon have already voted to contribute $500,000. The championship would host 10 international teams starting Boxing Day of 2024. Regina and Saskatoon tried to co-host the last tournament, but lost the bid to Halifax and Moncton. Regina City Council also unanimously passed an amendment to the traffic and open spaces bylaws. This allows private e-scooters on pathways and certain roads effective immediately. A shared rental scooter program is still coming this summer. And in Saskatoon, that city's compost program will start next week, but with a different landfill location. The location was switched after an unexpected permit denial from the RM of Corman Park, which owns the land. The city's manager of utilities and environment says the company at the helm will haul the waste to an interim spot and it will not cost taxpayers more money. A Saskatchewan doctor and transplant team have been honored with the Logan Boulay Humanitarian of the Year award. The award is named after the Humboldt Broncos player whose decision to be an organ donor helped save 6 lives following the 2018 bus crash. Dr. Michael Moser received the award at a ceremony at Saskatoon St. Paul Hospital today. He says he's deeply honored and spoke about the importance of organ donation.
Let's face it, talking about things related to death and dying is not something people generally like to do. But the more we get people talking about things like the registry or things like presumed consent, then it's more likely they're going to have those important conversations with their families.
Thank you. The Saskatchewan transplant team also received the award. The team consists of doctors, nurses, patient coordinators, social workers, and lab technicians who all work together to make transplants possible.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. The surest sign of spring, the angry goose is back out front.
Yes.
And what a lovely couple of days we've had. It has started to actually feel like spring.
Yeah, spring really starting to hit its stride here. We've had some nice clear days. Today, a little bit of a blip in that, though. We've had some mostly cloudy skies across south and central Saskatchewan. That's in the wake of that low pressure system that brought some showers to the south last night. That's now moved down into the states, and that's bringing some heavier rainfall, even a little bit of snow into the mountain ranges of Montana, and even some thunderstorms through portions of South Dakota and Nebraska as well. But a little bit of clearing in the north right now, and temperatures are being pulled back a little bit from where they've been these past couple of days. Not hugely, but it's been a little bit noticeable, especially in south and central, especially in southwestern Saskatchewan, where we've been getting close to 20 degrees earlier this week, but today barely getting to 15, barely getting to 10 in Swift Current, and still just a little bit cooler north and east from there. And it has been gusty in the wake of that low pressure system as well. Gusts this afternoon in the south have been averaging around the 40 to 50 kilometer an hour range. We did have a gust in Regina close to 50 a little bit earlier this afternoon, but things starting to die down now, and especially that is the case in the north. But in the north of the province is where we start to see our next weather maker, after the remaining showers move out of south and central as we head through the night tonight. We are watching a low pressure system developing, which is going to be bringing some moderate rain showers to especially the far north of the province. And then as that moves southward through tomorrow and through Saturday, we'll see some rain on eastern sides of the province. But again, we'll be getting some clearing in south and central, thanks to, in part, a weak high pressure system. Been a long time since we've seen high pressure around here, and that'll be bringing some clear skies for Saturday and Sunday. But in terms of this system in the north, a good 5 to 10 millimeters in places, especially from Key Lake down towards South End, and really everywhere else, a good 2 to 4 millimeters is likely what we are expecting. Now, in southern Saskatchewan, in portions of the central region tonight, we are looking for a bit of fog. Winds are dying down. We're seeing a bit of clearing, and we have some moisture on the ground, so that is leading to that. We saw that in Manitoba last night. But again, from Prince Albert eastward to the border, southward to the international border, including Regina, we could see some patches at times. And winds will be calm, especially in south and central tonight. As that system moves through the north tomorrow, looking for winds to pick up, especially in central Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, we could get close to 60 kilometers an hour at times. And then that low will slide southward as we head through Saturday, and eastern sections could start to pick up some gusts. But again, that high pressure starting to be noticeable as winds will start diminishing in western sections of the province. If you are worried that the clouds are going to be sticking around, well, in Regina, there's a lot of sunshine on these next 7 days here, and a very impressive warm-up heading into next week, where we could even get well into the 20-degree range. For Saskatoon, you're not going to miss out on those very nice temperatures as well. Again, tomorrow I think gusts will be in the 50 to 60 range, but after the clouds clear out through the weekend, look at that. We're not even seeing an overnight low dropping below the freezing mark. Could get a little breezy as we get those very nice conditions heading into next week. So, Sam, it seems that we may just be skipping spring altogether and heading right into summer.
I see the April showers, bringing the May flowers. Does this mean the end of overnight lows below zero? She says, living here her whole life.
You know, I don't like to chance it. I don't like to say it definitely, but, you know, this looks pretty promising.
I will take promising. That is all we can hope for.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, the Winnipeg Jets have one more chance tonight to keep their series alive as they head into Game 5 against the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Where are you planning to watch the game? One Winnipeg Jets fan has created a Winnipeg Jets viewing den in his basement. Marjorie Dowhouse stopped by to give you a front row seat.
We can call you a Jets fanatic, right?
Fanatic is fair. Yes.
I'm here in Tyler Swar's basement. Tyler is a Jets fanatic. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
Tell me about this, because this is impressive. This is, what would you call this, your Jets fan cave?
That's fair to call it a cave, yeah.
How long has it taken for you to collect all the Jets memorabilia that you have in here?
Everything on these walls and tucked away has been an accumulation of the last 34 years of my life, I would say.
Tell me about why you decided to build a space like this.
Ooh, no fun watching games alone, that's for sure. The more people you get in the basement, the more fun it is, you know. Nothing better than watching a team go down like they did the other night, and to be on the brink of a devastating loss at home, pushed to overtime, and you have 5, 6, you know, sometimes as many as 12 people around blowing the lid off the roof, so makes it all that much more special.
Now, what makes it such a great place to watch a Jets game in?
Well, aside from the multiple TVs, the viewing experience is pretty nice. It's all the stuff on the walls and the stories that come along with it, right? So even when there is a quiet spot in the game, or maybe things don't go as you planned, there's always a positive you can pull from, and there's always something to talk about that can, you know, keep everyone's hopes up, keep the dream alive.
Earliest memory as a Jets fan?
Earliest memory would be probably being in the building during some of those playoff games in the early 90s, playing against either LA or Detroit.
Now, this has to be a place that your friends, you probably have a lot of people that want to come by here and watch a Jets game. What is it like, or do you have a lot of people come over here to watch the Jets games?
Yeah, weekends definitely more than weeknights. When the weather's good, that also helps. People don't want to leave the house when it's minus 40. People that come by on the daily, sometimes weekly, there's a handful, you know who you are, but they always bring by stuff to stock the fridge, so no qualms there.
Game 5 coming up here. It's pretty much do or die against Vegas. What do you think?
Just got to win one. Got to win one and look on to the next. They've got all the tools in the tool belt. They showed that they can beat big dogs before, and I think they can do it again.
Plans on expanding this at all?
Well, the wife wants a bit of a bigger home, so I can only cross my fingers for that to happen, so that the basement's a little bit bigger and we can probably double this in size, and that means doubling occupancy.
And you're going to invite myself and Gary over?
Absolutely. The Jets stay on this run, you guys got to come by.
Well, Tyler, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and go Jets go. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Awesome. Go Jets go. Thank you guys.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/sask or /Saskatoon, or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will be back on the network at 11:30 tonight with more local news and weather. We're back on the network tomorrow at 5, followed by more NHL hockey. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.